Distraction. The right attitude of practice is that the distraction itself becomes the subject of meditation. The true nature of distraction is deviation of mind from the primary object to a secondary object by grasping or generating one object after another. In other words, the mind never remains on one object, but always sneaks away from the object. Continued distractions or non-stopping engagement on thoughts are the cause of stress, depression, and unhappy situations. Therefore, mindfulness will help the meditator to understand the distraction and narrows mental activities down in order to use that energy in a right way to deal with our stressful, busy daily schedule. The mind will not exist without objects. Mind only exists when there is something and we allow it to be entertained with the subject. It is very important to know that the mind is where our thoughts are, which are countless and boundless. As a result, the mind rarely remains still, but wanders off far and wide like a wild animal unless skillfully tamed. Unskilled, countless and boundless wanderer, the mind ultimately dwells either in the past or in an illusory future, and always tends to move away from the present moment. In fact, only here and now exists. Neither the past nor the future exists, as described earlier. In meditation practice, your mind is engaging in thought processes. Thinking again and again repeatedly observes that the thinking mind is thinking. Acknowledge that your mind is thinking and gently note its nature of thinking as it is being achieved at the very moment. The case of the mind flowing into the past, accept it that you are in the past memories and acknowledge it. Similarly, if you are planning for the future, accept it as you are planning for the future and acknowledge it. Once properly observed, acknowledge and note its true nature. Finally, let it go and bring the mind back to the present moment, establishing awareness of the rising and falling of the abdomen. Therefore, always be ready to start from the beginning whenever there has been a distraction. This process of observing, acknowledging, noting and letting go of the very moment of any sensation, feeling or emotion is the key for the development of insight. Once the process is fully understood and the true nature of each and every distraction has been realized, one would be able to deal with any situation that one may face in their daily life. For example, anger. First of all, one needs to observe that one is getting angry. At that moment, one needs to stop being with the body rather than the thought of anger. Anger generates heat in the body, breathing becomes unnatural, the heart beats faster, and the pulse beats stronger. So one can observe that anger by observing the changes in either breathing, heat in the body, or heartbeat, whichever feels greater. Observe it with our full effort and acknowledge that feeling of anger. When the anger is fully acknowledged, mentally note it as anger. Observing helps to realize what is happening. Acknowledging assists to distract from the first object that caused the feelings of anger, and noting will help to understand the reality of anger, not a cause of anger. In most of the cases, anger generates when something happens against one's wish are not according to one's wish. Noting the anger will help to realize this fact and assist to react mindfully rather than be possessed by the anger. Meditation is not oriented towards goals as mentioned earlier, but allows things to happen with a neutral acceptance of the fact. Human nature has an attitude of craving, desire and want. There is a misunderstanding about meditation that expects a blank mind or mind with no thought, or complete eradication of unwanted feelings and emotions. Consequently, during meditation, when the stream of distraction follows, this generally creates in new meditators more miseries and tension that is caused by the pushing away of these distractions, when what they had hoped for was quietness and inner peace. Further, meditator chooses meditation object to meditate, but distraction chooses meditator to distract from the meditation object. Therefore, one has to develop a skill to observe, see and know these distractions as and when they appear. One's own diligent practice will help to understand and observe the nature of these occurrences. One of the most important factors of understanding of the distraction or the right attitude of practice is that the distraction itself becomes a subject of meditation object in insight meditation. However, one needs to develop right understanding of it, because a distracted mind will never assist to realize insight. Tip 3. Noting distraction. Every moment when the mind is distracted, do not worry, allow it to occur. Accept its occurrence and acknowledge it by noting it and letting it go. In case of the thoughts, accepting its occurrence and acknowledge it by noting it and letting go, and then coming back to the primary object, rising and falling of the abdomen. Feeling the rising and falling is one thing, thinking about it is another, so make sure you feel it, not think it. We are not controlling breathing for the abdomen to rise or holding the breath or controlling its fall, but trying to let the breath flow naturally. Our only job is to allow it and just pay bare attention to it.